wake me up before you IndieGogo. Go. Hey, what's up, interwebs? My name is David, and you are chilling with Schilling. I'm gonna get to that intro in a minute, but yeah, how are you? How are you? I don't know if enough people ask and mean it. I've had a lot of people reach out to me over this last week. It's been a week since my last video. It's been a week since Rachel's birthday. Recovery from that time emotionally has been very difficult. Still not past it yet, but we're getting there. I feel myself a little bit lighter, but still not great. Anyways, one of the biggest compliments that I've received over the last week, I've been given a lot of compliments and praise and all this kind of stuff, but the one that really hits home the most is how genuine I am. That one means the world to me, because I pride myself on being a genuine person. At least I like to think I am. Whoever's voice is up here denying that is a pretty strong voice. So for someone to call me a genuine person who hasn't even met me in person, we've only just talked online, that is one of the highest forms of praise that I've ever received. Okay, before we get into that absolutely horrifically bad intro, it's like the worst one I've had in a while, if like ever, because my intros are pretty fire. We'll see. I don't know. Challenge accepted. I'd like to talk a little bit about me and my brain. Very quickly, for those of you that haven't heard me bore you to death with what I deal with. Depression, anxiety. Those are the first two. Anxiety, then depression. They kind of go hand in hand. Those are the first two diagnoses. Then PTSD was added for obvious traumatic events that happened. And the most recent discovery is ADHD. Depression and anxiety usually go hand in hand. Can't have one without the other. So it's very difficult because a lot of times the natural way to help the one is the natural way to trigger the other. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of times if you have depression, if you're having a depressive episode, going outside and enjoying the sun is a great way to relax and reset your mind. And a lot of times it's going for a walk or exercising, things like that, that really help with your depression. Then there's anxiety that gets triggered every time you go outside, or if you're around too many people, or if you're trying to go for a walk and there's anything, loud noises, too quiet noises, you're going for a walk in a different location than you normally do because going through the same walk on the same path becomes mundane and is boring and it becomes dull, and that triggers your depression. So you go back into your anxiety and all of a sudden you're in a new space, and that triggers that because you don't know where you are, where you're going, where you've been. You don't know your surroundings, how many people live here or are going to be walking around here. Do you see what I mean? And then if you're at the gym, so I used to go to the gym. Well, you're instantly comparing yourself to everybody else. And you shouldn't be here. You don't deserve to be here. You don't belong here. Look at how amazingly fit these people are. Look at how much weight they're lifting, and you can't do anything. Now, the reality, people who suffer from depression, anxiety, the reality is 99.9% of the people who are there do not care about you in the least. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. If you're stuck on a machine, most of them would run over to give you a hand. They just don't care how much weight you lift. Opposites attract in the mental health world sometimes too. Depression, anxiety, fun pair. The right medication, for me, really stabilizes those though. Really well. The anxiety, still there, but I'm able to talk myself out of it. The fall isn't quite so fast. I have time to grab onto something on the side. The depression, still there, but I'm understanding that the negative voice in my head isn't my own voice, somebody else's voice. They're the ones who have convinced me all the negative things I think. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. For obvious reasons, I was diagnosed with that almost right after the worst day of my life. And that it's going to manifest differently in a lot of people. I can only discuss what it feels like for me. Because of the nature of my loss, there's a lot of things that I no longer do. For example, I don't celebrate birthdays, except for this year. Any birthday. Not my own. I don't like birthdays. They cause me a lot of discomfort. More so this year. I will never go to another rib fest. Never, ever, ever. See, now, there. I'm going to leave that in the video, because what happened was I was instantly sitting in Rachel's parents' car. Side note, I can't drink because of the medication I'm on. I can have a little tiny bit of alcohol, but I don't really drink anyway, so I don't worry about that. So I was the designated driver. Rachel's parents were in the back seat. They had a great time at this Rib Fest, and one of their favorite songs came on the radio. Both of them instantly yelled, "Turn it up!" And then they started arguing because one person was singing louder than the other one, and they were singing the wrong words, and I took Rachel by the hand, and I said to her, "This is what it's going to be like when we have kids." See, now that starts off as a great memory. And then this happens. Because I miss her so much, and there's a lot of guilt and self-blame that I feel. So for me, every good memory that I have with Rachel turns into a bad one. You saw how fast that was. Wow. Side note, thank you for going on that journey. I'm going to leave most of that in because it's important to see how quickly that goes. So yeah, I avoid having fun. I've gone dancing a grand total of 4 times in the last 5 years. 2 of them were miserable failures. So certain songs I won't listen to. There's a lot of triggers, and that was a tiny reaction because it was just a little memory. Being in situations around certain people, it can be very debilitating. Little side note, when I lived in Toronto, I was the victim of a break and enter. And I was awake, and I grabbed the person, and he threatened to stab me, blah, 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 everything, yada, yada. Long story short, in cases of physical danger, my fight response kicks in immediately. I'm a protector. I've got to take care of whoever else, not even myself, blah, yada, yada, yada. When it comes to going to a social gathering, if I get hit with an unexpected trigger, my only response is wanting to leave right away. Wild. Absolutely wild. Anyways, ADHD. Now, this is the one that I've probably dealt with the longest and has been the most eye-opening. This is also the one where the medication that I'm currently taking for it, I find to be the most helpful for everything else as well. Now, for me, ADHD isn't just bouncing off the walls, high energy, go, 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 go. Ooh, shiny. What's over there? Huzzah! That's not what ADHD is for me usually. Sometimes, depends on how much coffee I have. ADHD for me is a lot more, I have to work at 11 a.m. I'm up at 5 a.m. That's a lot of hours where I can do stuff and be productive, but I don't do anything because if I'm a little bit later than when I want to normally leave, it's panic-inducing. I will break down my day by the minute because if I don't, I am all over the place. I lose the direction. I'll walk around work aimlessly for 10 minutes trying to remember something or find something to do, and I find too many things to do, and then all of a sudden I just can't do anything because I don't know where to start. ADHD for me is not being able to do just one thing at one time. Now, I'm not saying I multitask, but I can't do one activity for a long period of time, even leisurely. I'll be at home playing video games and I get bored after 2 rounds of one game. Switch to a different game, play that for 20 minutes, hop to a different console, play that console for all of maybe 45 minutes playing 2 different games there, jump to my computer, play a different game on my computer, play a third game on my computer, then go back to my console and play a game there. All the while I'm watching a podcast and I'm on 3 different modes of social media. Plus I'm planning on what I'm going to say for my next video. And that's how I relax. That's my relaxing. Now, I'm not sure where it relates, but I see in movie form. My brain, my mind, my thoughts, they are all in the form of movies. And I think that's what makes some of my PTSD triggers so hard, is because I see the close-ups. I see everything in slow motion, while time in real life moves twice as fast. Now, I want a stimulant for my ADHD, and it has been the most life-changing experience in my mental health journey that I possibly can talk about. It's been remarkable. Still bouncing off the walls in my head, though. Especially trying to relax. Anyways, wow, that took way too long, but thank you again for letting me talk about my journey and experiencing that PTSD trigger that I just had. Thank you. Okay, on to the topic of today. The reason for my intro, the wake me up before you IndieGogo. God, that's so embarrassing. I'm gonna keep it in. I've got plans for November. I don't know how much I've talked about in my last video or the video before that. I didn't talk about it in the video before that, but I don't know if I talked about it in my last video. Anyways, in November, 5 years ago, we hosted a celebration of life for Rachel. Friends, family, people that knew her, strangers, family of friends, friends of family. It was incredible to see how many people came out in support of Rach. We had a cash bar. We had silent auction. We were accepting donations. There was a $20 ticket fee, something along those lines. We raised more than $5,000 for CAMH in that one day. So November, 5 years later, we're going to host a celebration of life, but we're going to do it right. I'm already looking at venue spaces for November. I have live music lined up, ready to go. I have volunteers willing to help. I have floral arrangements being prepared as we speak. I have a lot of people wanting to help and do this right. So we're going to do this right. I'm going to set up an IndieGogo. We're going to have different tiers of donations, as many different tiers as we can, because even just giving a little tiny bit, we want to be able to give back in some form. So we're going to have different gift tiers, obviously. And we're gonna do what we can. We're gonna raise as much as we can to make it worthy of who Rachel was and what she wanted to do. She was a fierce advocate for mental health. And in November, we're going to do the same. We're gonna advocate as hard as we can. Can't guarantee they'll come, but we're gonna invite the right people. See, I have so many ideas in my head, and I see it all in movie form. Like I see people, some of the musicians that I have, who want to play their music for her. I see them, and there's a camera gliding across. It's crazy. I'm excited. I'm excited, but I do need help. So stay tuned for the IndieGogo. If you do want to help out, volunteering, if you have a skill that you think could be useful to support this event, reach out, let me know. I welcome almost everybody. There's a few people that I really, really, really don't like, so they're not invited. But everybody else, you are more than welcome. I got a couple secret ideas too. Oh, I'm so excited. So excited. Anyways, woo! A little bit spacey today. That's okay. That's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you for joining me on that journey. I didn't intend for that to take up the majority of the video, but it's important to see that moment, so that will stay. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget, tell your friends.